Hey, this is Stop Stressing and Start Living with me, Dennis Crosby. And today I want to talk to you about the idea of selling yourself and why you should stop it right now. And I'll give you a little backstory where I used to sell myself in two ways primarily. The first way is at networking events. I used to try to find the person with the most status in the room, person who I thought could do the most for me. And I would try to convince them why I was worth getting to know and being friends with and whatnot. And the second way would be in meeting somebody of the opposite sex, where I would try to sell my value and my worth to that person. And in both cases, they stemmed from a lack of self-esteem and an inferiority complex that I had in a really big way. And one thing that I realized, inspired by a really good friend of mine, was that if I look back, the people who have been the most impactful in my life, who have really been there when I needed them, I've learned the most from, grown the most from, were not people I ever had to sell myself to. Same thing with relationships. My best relationships, both friendships and romantic, were people who the connection was there. Like, we instantly saw how much value the other person brought. And that value could just be enjoyment of their company. Like, I'm not talking about necessarily tangible value. And it's the same thing in pretty much all of life, is that the relationships that matter are not the relationships that you have to force. They're relationships that life just brings to you. They're the ones that when they fall, it's like a puzzle piece fitting into place. Like I'm sure you've done a jigsaw puzzle where you're trying to put one in and it's almost right, but it's just not, and it's not fitting, and you're squirming and you're really hoping that it works, but it doesn't. But then you find the right piece and it just fits in, and you almost get like this sigh of relief when it goes in. You're like, that's the right piece. It's the same thing with relationships. To really get things connected in the right way, to get life really flowing and fitting properly, you have to let go of the idea of forcing shit to happen. And that's in all areas of life. But particularly in this case, we're talking about relationships. So I have personally made a decision that I'm no longer selling myself to anybody. Like, I'm not going to convince you why I'm a worthwhile human being, why I can bring value to your life, because for some people I can bring absolutely no value and I should not be a part of your life. And that's okay too. I'm not saying that I'm God's gift to the world, but there are certain people who we should be in each other's lives. There are certain people who we shouldn't. And I'm going to let that process happen organically. I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to try to put all this time, energy, and effort into bringing somebody into my life or trying to keep somebody into my life. That's about letting go, which is a whole nother topic. That shouldn't be there. Or that time has shown it's time to separate. So I really want you to think about this and reflect on it a little bit, because I would be really surprised if you're not doing this to some extent. Because I know even to this day, I still do it. Like, I'm getting better at it, but it still comes up. I still find people in my phone book who I just can't manage to delete. And that's a good test, actually. And this is where I've learned that I haven't adopted this fully. Go through your phone book and try to find 10 people to delete. And whether that's easy or hard, I guarantee you'll cross over some names who your gut reaction is that I'm never going to talk to that person again. But you can't quite get yourself to delete it. And those are people you're forcing to stay in your life. So that's kind of a litmus test for you. So I'm not selling myself anymore. I hope that this inspires you to maybe take a second look at how you're approaching your relationships. And that's all I have for you today. If you like this episode, feel free to comment on the video or go to my website if you're listening to the podcast. and DennisCrosby.com and leave me a message. Other than that, it's been great talking with you. This has been Stop Stressing and Start Living. Thank you for spending your time. Time is our most valuable resource we have, so one thing that we can't buy more of. So the fact that you spend it with me is awesome. All right, take care.